So good afternoon, ladies. And I was going to say a few good men, but I think there are a lot more than a few good men here. So I think the United Nations He for She campaign would be very, very proud to see so many men here come out to support all our wonderful women in leadership. So on behalf of all the she's here, the She for She's welcome all of you. Yeah? So wow, look at this room. Okay, warm smiles and a riot of colors. So I think this definitely beats any of the other halls which are going to have predominantly grays and blacks and blues and, you know, yeah. Right? Anyway, my name is Puravi Hegde. I'm a corporate leadership trainer with the Art of Living and a mum in training and the moderator, the very honored moderator for this session, this particular deep dive session. Kathleen Schaefer once said that leadership is not just about men in suits. It's a way of life for those who know who they are and are willing to be their best to create the life that they want and also to inspire all those around them. And we are very fortunate to have with us a group of very powerful women here who embody just this. And these are our speakers for our session. I'll very quickly introduce you to each one of them, and then as they share their opening remarks with us, I'll share more about them too. We have Ms. Yvonne Ferry here, who's a member of parliament from Switzerland. We have the Honorable Ms. Bariza Chiari here, who is a member of the Senate in France. We have the Honorable Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, who is a member of parliament in India. We have Dr. Kiran Bedi, who is a former IPS officer. She actually needs no introduction. And the recipient of the Raymond Magsaysay Award. And we're also very fortunate to have with us Ms. Bhanumati Narasimhan. Who is the director of the Women Empowerment and Child Welfare programs that are run by the Art of Living here in India and globally. Yeah? So can we give our round of speakers here a big round of applause? So to just set the context before I hand it over to our speakers, His Holiness Sri Ravi Shankar says that women are the backbone of any society. Women are both gentle and they have strength. By nature, she is multi-talented and multifaceted. Usually people think that women are very emotional, but in fact, she's a great intellectual genius and a great executionist and planner. Yeah? You can clap if you wish. Unfortunately, even though we know this, a lot of research shows us that in spite of having even greater academic achievement, in spite of more and more women joining the workforce, globally, far less than 5% of women are actually in top leadership positions, yeah? Even though we make up half the global population. In fact, they say we have more men named John as CEOs in the world than we have women. Yeah? So, what we're here to look at is how women here can recognize our inherent strengths by focusing on what we have rather than what we don't. We're also going to look at the need for women to come together, to unite, to get over differences, and see how we together can bring about social transformation. And we're also here to look at the role of spirituality and spiritual practices in strengthening the mind and building inner confidence, which is really a very, very integral quality of any competent leader, male or female. Yeah? So I think I would like to begin. We can start with the Honorable Ms. Yvonne Ferry. Just to give you a little bit of background about her. The Honorable Miss Yvonne Ferry is a member of the Swiss National Parliament, and she's also a local councillor, very, very active on a number of committees. She advocates the humanitarian contribution of Switzerland internationally, and she's concerned with improving the equal status of women and also the position of working women in Switzerland. We hand you over to the lovely Honorable Miss Yvonne Ferry.
Welcome. Thank you for the invitation, and it's so beautiful to look to you. There are so many colors. I like this to have in our parliament. It would be nicer than everybody is black there, and so warm regards from you. Yes. Now to the issue. The 21st century bears many challenges which call for a rethinking, especially in view of the role of women in economic life in a rapidly changing world. To this day, women are not able to realize their full potential. Three factors are central in order to change this: education, equal opportunities in the labor market, and access to leading positions. I mean, learning, labor, leadership. Education is the foundation for change and enable women to help themselves. A recent study in 60 developing countries shows how important the issue of education is. The incurred economic loss in these countries as a result of the insufficient education of girls amounts to an estimated $90 billion per year, according to this study. To invest in education means to simultaneously invest in families and the whole society. An African proverb says, "If you teach a boy, you educate a man. If you educate a girl, you educate a whole village." Regarding the second factor, the access to the labor market. Women are often dependent on poorly paid, unattractive jobs providing little security. Worldwide, 70% of the population forced to live on less than $1 per day are women. When talking about women in leading positions, there too is a lot to be done. On the 500 businesses on the list of companies by the rating agency Standard & Poor's, only 4% employ a female managing director or chairman. Women will have to rewrite history in their own favor, take risks, and will have to leave their comfort zones. Can we afford to disregard half of the society's talent poor in labor market policy terms? Can we afford to ignore the fact that the best qualified generation of women has to put up with considerable gaps in their employment biography, and that women provide the bulk of unpaid care work? No, we can't. A modern society and a modern economy needs a reconciliation of a professional and family life and equal job opportunities for men and women, mothers and fathers. In Western countries, 60% of all couples with children wish for an equal share of gainful work and family work, but only 14 succeed in realizing this model. Equal perspectives in the professional world for women and men must not fall by the wayside when childcare or nursing care in the family have to be mastered. Because partnership within the family and equal professional changes both belong together. They are two sides on the same coin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ferry. Our next speaker is the Honorable Ms. Barisa Chiari. If you have a look at her profile, she's an extremely accomplished woman. I've had the privilege of spending some time and chatting with her, and she's also a judge on a very special court which tries public officials at the ministerial level. At the French Senate, out of the 300 men elected, she is the only woman. Right? And when I asked her about this, she said she's a statistical error. Yeah? So over to the very graceful Honorable Ms. Chiari.
Merci beaucoup. Je parle seulement le français et l'arabe. Et donc Dipali, qui est responsable de l'art de vivre à Paris, va traduire pour vous.
So I'm very sorry, I speak French and Arabic, and hence I will be translating for her.
Alors, je tiens d'abord à remercier les organisateurs pour cet événement qui est si riche, et notamment Sri Ravi Shankar, cet artisan de la paix.
I would first like to begin with thanking all the organizers of this amazing event, and especially Sri Ravi Shankar, who is an artist of peace.
Je viens d'un pays merveilleux, la France, Paris, et ce pays merveilleux est riche de paradoxes.
I come from a beautiful country, France, Paris, and this is a country which is full of paradoxes.
Il est multiculturel et il ne se voit pas comme tel. Il est laïque. La laïcité, c'est la neutralité de l'État vis-à-vis des religions. Et il a, curieusement, quelques problèmes avec les religions.
It is a multicultural country, but it doesn't see itself as one. It is laïque, that means it always keeps itself neutral and separate from religion, and it has some differences and some problems with religion.
Or, ce pays a permis à une femme issue de l'immigration et musulmane de surcroît d'atteindre les plus hauts postes de la République.
This country allowed a lady with an immigrant background, and in addition, she's also a Muslim, to have access to the highest posts in the French Republic.
Je suis actuellement sénatrice de Paris et juge à la Cour de justice de la République.
I am actually a senator in Paris as well as a judge in the Ministerial Court of Justice.
J'ai été élue par mes pairs, seule femme, vice-présidente du Sénat. J'ai exercé cette fonction pendant 3 ans et vous ne serez pas étonnés si je vous dis que rien ne m'a été offert et que j'ai tout conquis petit à petit.
I am the only lady to be elected as Vice President of the Senate, a function that I held for 3 years. And you would not be surprised when I tell you that nothing was given to me on a platter. I had to earn it one step at a time.
Comment j'ai pu bénéficier de l'école publique, laïque, obligatoire et gratuite. L'éducation a été le premier vecteur de mon émancipation.
How? Firstly, education, public education, completely separate from religion, and free school. Education was the first sector of my emancipation.
Le premier enjeu est encore et toujours l'éducation. Il y a encore tant à faire dans le monde.
The first challenge is obviously feminine education. There is so much to be done in this domain in the whole world.
C'est grâce à cette éducation laïque que j'ai pu m'émanciper de certains déterminismes qui tiennent à mes origines.
It is thanks to this neutral education that I could emancipate and free myself from prejudices linked to my origins.
Non pour renier mes origines, mais au contraire, pour mieux les intégrer, en être fier et les dépasser.
Not to deny my origins, but to integrate them better, to be proud of them and overcome them.
C'est pour ça que je peux aujourd'hui me définir comme farouchement française et sereinement musulmane.
It is because of this that I can define myself as fiercely French and at the same time serenely Muslim.
Car quand on sait d'où l'on vient, qui l'on est, on peut se frayer un chemin pour aller quelque part.
Because when you know from where you are coming and who you are, you can find a path to reach your goal.
Ce chemin, on le trouve d'abord en soi. J'ai fait de bonnes études académiques.
This path you first find within yourself. I have a very good academic background.
Je me suis interrogée, que faut-il de plus pour me déployer dans un monde si féminin, si masculin, quels sont mes autres atouts?
I asked myself, what else is needed to succeed in a man's world? What are my strengths?
Je me suis rendu compte que j'avais des qualités qui étaient communes aux autres femmes, la gestion, la planification, la prévision, la responsabilité et l'engagement.
I realized that I had the qualities which have particularly all women have, that is management, planification, having a long-term vision, responsibility and commitment.
La femme est depuis la nuit des temps une gestionnaire, car la gestion des enfants, de la maison, demande de grandes qualités.
Because a woman, since ages, she is a good she is a good manager because she's always managing a house, children, which demands very strong qualities.
Cette habitude séculaire de gestion lui a permis d'acquérir un certain pragmatisme.
This secular ability of managing the household allowed her to become very pragmatic.
Toutes les femmes sont dans le quotidien, dans l'instant, mais leur réflexion prend en compte le long terme.
All women are in daily, day-to-day life, in the moment, but her thinking is long-term.
C'est ces qualités qu'il faut pour faire de la politique. Gestion du quotidien et vision à long terme pour préparer l'avenir.
It is for these qualities which are needed in political life, management of day-to-day lives of people and a long-term vision to prepare for the future.
Je reviens à mon expérience. Comment je me suis trouvée comme élue vice-présidente, comment théoriquement je me trouvais en situation d'autorité, comment j'allais faire pour présider les débats, comment faire face à cette nouvelle fonction.
So I will come back to my experience of how I was elected to be the first vice president of the Senate, how I held this responsibility and how I managed people.
Je me suis dit que l'autorité pour l'autorité ne sert à rien.
I told myself that authority for just authority doesn't serve any purpose.
En revanche, on peut s'imposer par les compétences et j'ai appris par cœur les règles, les procédures de notre assemblée qui sont nombreuses.
Nevertheless, one can impose oneself with skills. Hence, I studied all the procedures and rules of the higher chamber, and I can tell you that there are many of them.
J'étais inattaquable sur la technique parlementaire, mais était-ce suffisant?
Nobody could beat me technically on the procedures, but was that enough?
Non. Non, car il faut aller au-delà. Le respect, plus que l'autorité s'impose, quand la bienveillance s'ajoute aux compétences.
No, because you need to go beyond that. More than authority, respect comes when you add caring, benevolence to your regular skills.
Alors j'ai aussi utilisé ce qu'on appelle aujourd'hui les valeurs féminines, l'écoute et la médiation.
Hence, I also used what we call today feminine values of listening and mediation.
J'ai demandé conseil à Laurent Fabius, un ancien Premier ministre et président de l'Assemblée nationale. Il faut toujours demander conseil aux sages qui ont l'expérience.
I asked advice from Laurent Fabius, who was a prime minister and speaker of the parliament. One should always ask advice from the people who have experience and who are wise.
Avec ses conseils, ma connaissance technique, une bienveillante attention, et je n'ai connu aucune difficulté pendant ces 3 ans.
With his advice, my technical knowledge, with attention and caring, I didn't face any difficulty during these 3 years.
Ma spiritualité m'a beaucoup aidée.
My spirituality helped me a lot.
Et aujourd'hui, je peux dire qu'en dehors de mon sourire, de mon maquillage et de mes vestes avec des couleurs, le Sénat a presque oublié que j'étais une femme, ce qui me fait dire que les compétences effacent l'appartenance de sexe, de couleur et de religion.
Today, I can say that besides my smile, my makeup, and my colorful jackets, the Senate almost forgot that I was a woman. That's why I can say that competencies prevail over gender, skin, color, religion. I can say that I imposed a certain sort of feminine leadership.
Alors pour conclure, je dirais que face aux crises, nous avons besoin de plus en plus de personnes capables de gérer ou d'anticiper les conflits. Et en ce sens, les qualités féminines ne sont pas assez exploitées.
So the crisis that we are facing, I would say that we require more and more people with these capacities to manage, to anticipate conflicts, and the feminine qualities are not exploited enough.
2, la tradition ne doit pas être prise en otage par les machistes, voire plus grave, les intégristes obscurantistes.
Secondly, tradition should not be taken into hostage by machoism and fanatics.
Elle ne doit pas être un poids, mais bien un socle pour aller vers la modernité. Encore en faut-il comprendre le principe, la tradition.
Tradition should not be a weight, but a strong base for the modern.
Que la peur les quitte.
I feel like telling men, get rid of your fears.
L'éducation, toujours et encore.
Again and again, education.
Le leadership au féminin ne peut exister sans l'égalité entre les hommes et les femmes.
Feminine leadership cannot exist without equality between men and women.
L'égalité est toujours un combat. L'égalité est toujours un combat.
I know that equality is always a struggle.
Et je sais qu'en Inde, beaucoup d'hommes mènent ce combat, que Sri Ravi Shankar le mène. Je vous remercie.
I know that equality is always a struggle, and I know many men in India are fighting for the women, fighting for this cause, and Sri Ravi Shankar is one of them, and I would like to thank him for that.
Thank you, Madam Chiari. Our next speaker is the Honorable Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, a member of our Indian Parliament and also a Supreme Court lawyer. Many of us here watch her on various television channels where her opinion is sought on many national and international matters. Amidst all her engagements and responsibilities, she is very involved with human rights and women's issues.
Thank you very much, Purvi. Friends, to begin with, I think I'll start with a shlok, half a line I think all of you must have heard. The second is what is most important. Yatra naryastu pujante ramante tatra devta. This I'm sure everyone's heard, right? The second part, tatre na pujante sarvasatra falakriya. Now this is the most important aspect of this shlok. It is the 2nd century BC shlok from Manusmriti. So a lot of people are burning Manusmriti these days, so I have an argument with them that what are you burning? You don't want women to get that honored place and space which the culture and tradition offers. So while we are discussing the aspects from the previous speakers, one has come from France and who herself positioned herself and says, this is a statistical error. The other lady who's from Switzerland, let me go back a bit in the history. France, of course, changed many ways, and especially when it comes to political leadership, and the role of women also changed with Renaissance period, and which is a medieval part of the history in India, which was, while the world was changing, we were, in that period, were the dark ages in India. While we had a history where yatra naryastu pujyante, ramante tatra devta, so that is your tradition, that's your Vedic Sanskriti, where जहाँ पर औरतों की पूजा होती है वहीं पर देवताओं का वास होता है और जहाँ नहीं होती वहाँ पर हर क्रिया निष्फल है. That means worship does not mean worshipping the women with धूप अगरबत्ती and candle, but giving them the due place in every political, economic, social sphere is what the essence of this shlok is, and which is a 2nd century BC shlok. What was happening to mankind at that time. Now, if we compare the history, and I'm purposely comparing the history, the struggle you see today, all women from across the globe are sitting on one platform, and the difficulties of the women remain global, no matter which part of the world they come from. Everywhere, whether it's the corporate world, it's the political world, it's judiciary, it's police, it's no matter which sector you look at, the leadership roles are limited for women. And leadership roles are limited in spite of the fact that in India, corporate world sees that in unorganized sector, women participation is close to 36%. In organized sector, the industrial sector, the women participation is close to 26 point some odd %. And going back to the statistics which Purvi was sharing with us, about 4 point some odd % women you see as women directors in the corporate world, and close to only 3 point some odd % of women in higher corporate management portfolios. So this is a situation you're faced with. And when you're faced with this situation, I want to connect it to the future we want. And I'm purposely using the world future we want because she talked about he for she campaign. I've been speaking about it all the time, that there's no point talking to women who are already converts to the idea. Women for women, you're talking to a convert who already possesses that idea. I think it's the men you need to speak to. It's the men. Yeah, I also have 2 sons, so the mother's role is very important, very, very important. And it is in this context that even a recent journal, Brussels Times, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure my friends from Europe would be aware of it, that how a different level of feminism is killing the men folk as well. So I think the idea is culturally to look at the positive aspects. And according to me, there is no quality which women possess, and there's no quality which men possess. Qualities are human qualities which both men and women possess. So if people have this image of a very brave man, I would say, I'm sorry, I have seen very brave women and very timid men. If you look at the quality of empathy and sensitivity, I've seen very sensitive and men who are compassionate, like Sri Ravi Shankar, our Guruji. Men possess that quality, that innate quality also. I don't wish to name the women, but there are women who are horrible when it comes to sensitivity levels. So the qualities are the qualities of human beings, and the qualities are not related to gender. And those qualities, certain qualities need to be emphasized on if we want world to be a peaceful place, world to have equal representation. 1,000 men will have close to 940 women, but do we see them in the workforce? Do we see them in the leadership roles? And recently, on the Women's Day, which was very close by, we had this small opportunity to make our point be heard in the parliament. And I'm sure all the democratic parliaments across the world represent the same thing, that most powerful committees in the world, especially when you talk of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. You look at climate change, you look at education, you look at health, elimination of poverty, ecosystem, marine life, so on and so forth. Every of these goals will find replication in the committees of the parliament. Every democratically elected parliament will have these standing committees, will have these standing committee to select committees to many policy rules. Now, in this entire policy rules, I think I need to study this across the world. Where are the women? Because all the finance committees, you'll find most men, and there will be only a few statistical errors. and that is what the leadership is going to bring to all of us, especially even when women have achieved the leadership role and nothing is served to them on platter. I can completely relate to our co-speaker from France and from Switzerland also, that no woman achieves whatever she has achieved because things were served to her on a platter, but not because of, but in spite of the difficulties, she's where she is. And going by the words, Kiranji, while she was struggling to be the head of Delhi police, and especially with the kind of strength and career she has, there was I mean, she didn't use that word, but I'm using it. There's a boys' club, and they will protect each other. And that boys' club will protect each other no matter where they are. And it is this which takes a toll. And that representation you will find across. So I think the good qualities in men need to be enhanced, where they are made to look at things with more just and fair eyes. And women also need to strengthen the qualities which are, at times I'll call them aggressive, pursuing their career, not be laid back, not be lazy. And then only a balanced life has to be there. So in the stereotypical roles, I'll say feminization of men and masculinization of women, which can achieve the balance. So, friends, I think going back to the history, which I said, I'll just take a couple of minutes more. The fact that this country has two very important words which were responsible for giving us freedom from imperialist regime. The two words are Vande Mataram and Bharat Mata. And these two words establish the consciousness of this country. These two words establish that Matra Shakti, the feminine power, was always not just emphasized and recognized, but was the strength of this country. And that is where the national discourse also started. And it is in this aspect, if this is the national consciousness of this country, where are we at present? From female feticide to less representation of women, to dowry, to corporate less representation. On the other side, you have women like Indra Nooyi, Ramakrishna, Miss Shetty, so on and so forth. The list of women achievers in this country is endless. And at the same time, I mean, Arunima Sinha, for once I want to remember. Mary Kom is another I want to remember. Now, these are the ladies who have brought name, fame, and shown their strength in men's world. So there is no dearth of women achievers. At the same time, when you look at these statistics, the statistics don't speak very well. And if the future we want is the future which is more just, which is peaceful, which is talking about global peace, even when we look at this particular event which Guruji has organized, I would say where in the world 35,973 odd performers perform under one roof. Where in the world can people from 155 countries come together for one spiritual event. If people were not good, if mankind was not just, if mankind did not have that strength of being fair, just, and organized, this event wouldn't have happened. But the fact, so much of negativity is thought to be spread also shows that you are fighting against odd people. And you are fighting against odd situations. The fact the goodness exists, but goodness is always disorganized. This is one event which is organizing the goodness across the globe. Will have to fight against and make the other organized bad forces disorganized. So let's work for that. and transform the world, and go back to my previous speakers. Own it up. Own the transformation. Change the world. Make it a better place to live. There's no dearth of goodness. It's just that we are less and less organized. Let's become more and more organized. And you'll see the change and transform the world. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lekhi. So the first woman Indian police officer, the recipient of the Magsaysay Award for all the reforms that she put into practice during her tenure in Indian prisons. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Kiran Bedi.
I'm better on my feet. Want to thank Bhanu Didi for personally calling me and inviting me. Very, very grateful. Guruji's been a blessing all my life. So Jai Gurudev. You know what struck me when it was said a lot of men are present, along with women? See, we are not sitting here as men and women. Today, Guruji has made us Vyakti. He's taken us to a level of humankind, mankind, where we happen to be men and women. It's Vyakti. And Vyakti has no gender. There's no Vyaktini. There's no Vyakta. There's only Vyakti. And Vyakti has no gender. Vyakti is both. It's inclusive, men and women. I think we're sitting here as Vyakti, who happen to be men and women. And that's what this whole art of living does. It does Vyakti development. It's personal development. And what brings us together is spiritual Vyakti. And that's why Meenakshi beautifully said, it's coming together of goodness. For the first time, it's coming together of goodness. Taking the conversation forward from where my previous speakers, I've identified two reasons what holds back women from taking the final leadership, the transformative leadership, which is, let's say, policy making, whether it's in the world of business or whether it's in the world of politics. What is it? Two things which I've experienced, seen across, studied and researched. Number one, women who are in the corporate sector, in the critical business world, what holds them back is family support. It's family support. It's social support systems. They come to an age when they have to make a difficult choice. What do they do? Their own career or the career of their children? I think that's a tough choice they make. Those of us who've had the privilege of social support systems, some of us had parents, some of us had the mother, some of us had a wonderful mother-in-law. But today, mothers and mothers-in-law are also working. They too need support. And then the second factor is elder care. I think it's a very difficult choice. So brilliant women drop out of real top position or increments or travels or training programs because of absence of social support systems, and to which the world has not provided for. It's still family dependent. Families which are able to provide, or husbands who are willing to share time at home, which they don't. They spend just an hour in a family, and the woman compares, research says 9 hours in a family. She gives 9 hours to the home, where research is saying, not me, the men only contribute in 1 hour in a day. I think that's what is. The question is, do we want more women in this world at more corporate leadership? Then we have to think of creating social support systems. Now, how do we create them? Where do we begin from? Because you need elder care, and you need child, and it's security in healthcare. Second thing which I think, which is also holding back women, is on political leadership, which Meenakshi alluded to. And here is the statistics which the Prime Minister gave in his recent speech when they celebrated Women's Day. And this is the statistics from his speech. He said 43.56%, which is 1.27 million women, are in the elected representatives at the grassroots level. It's a world record. Indian panchayats, because of 33 system. We have 1.27 million women elected representatives at the grassroots level. Brilliant. Nowhere in the world does it beat it. Secondly, but from there, you have only 12% women in parliament. When it comes to parliament, Meenakshi is only one of the 12% compared to the other numbers. It further falls down to 9% as members of the Legislative Assembly. Only 9%. When you have 1.27 million or 43%, imagine instead of the number growing, it falls to 12%. 9% as MLAs. It falls to 6% then as Legislative Council members. So further 6%. And finally, what she was commenting on financial committees, you have in Indian Parliament just 2 women, only 2 women from the Parliament in 3 financial committees. 3 financial committees, which is in a group of 74 men. So in 74, you have only 2 women in financial committees. And finally, it also comes to shunya. It also comes to 0. There is no woman in department-related standing committees in finance. So this is the way situation is. But on the other hand, in a committee of 30 women on Joint Committee on Empowerment of Women, there are 28 women. Only 2 men. Then it should have been half-half. If you do not have them along with you, why would they be with you? That should have been 50-50. So that demand of ours is Women Empowerment Committee should be half-half. Isn't it?
I would say 33% women in the Women Committee and rest should be men. No, seriously, because I think men also have a sensitive aspect to themselves. Why are we denying them that sensitivity?
Now this...
It's not just about women, it's about men also. We are denying men the sensitivity.
That's right. So this is the stat. You see, while we have a large base, which probably doesn't challenge the system enough, it doesn't question the system, or it's not at the top. So we have a large base, but we have a 0 shunya at the top when it comes to finance committees. Now look at the pool of women candidates. Out of the women, since we're talking about political leadership, pool of women candidates in 2014, out of 1,591 candidates, only 146 were women. Which means 9.17% only were women. So friends, this is where political leadership is. That is the reason. Now I try to think, what could be the reason? What is the reason of a large base with very low tipping point? The reason, friends, is I think this is a problem the world over. This is the world over. And the world over is that women or men and women come to political leadership by default, not by training. Not by training. Earlier, management was by default. The MBA schools mushroomed only last 3 to 4 decades. Where were the management schools earlier? The Indian management schools weren't there existing till 2-3 decades ago, but today it's mushroomed. the family business of shifting to professional business management, because you're now training them in business management, and that's how the listed companies are looking for the best professional leadership. What is missing in, why do I say political leadership is by default the world over? The world over is by inheritance. People like Meenakshi and Sushma Swaraj's, or Smriti Irani's, or even Maneka Gandhi's, or not Maneka Gandhi because she's come almost through family, but Smriti hasn't come from family, Sushma hasn't come from family, Meenakshi hasn't come by family. They are these isolated cases, my friends. Men, some of them who've not come by family, are coming from the grassroots, like our Prime Minister. He's come from the grassroots. So that's why he's so trained and rooted. That's why he's almost an exception. So what is it when I say it's coming by default? I say there's a nil existence of schools of political governance. Just as you need schools of management, you do need schools of training political governance. Now, at one stage, so I'm providing a solution. I'm not here only for a problem. And I've been saying this solution for last 2 years. I happened to be on Chai Par Charcha with our Prime Minister when Prime Minister was campaigning around, and I happened to get an invitation on his Chai Par Charcha. And I did request the Prime Minister that, sir, we need schools for political governance. Just as you go for admission, and those children, girls and boys who have political activism in, they want to join politics, they want to be social workers, they want to be activists, they need not foul universities. They need not foul universities as it has happened. They can come into these schools of political governance where they learn the ropes of political leadership, where they learn finance, they learn geography, economics, and so many other subjects, history, independence movement, ideologies. So once they learn that, friends, I think that's the key. I think I'm just wrapping up, saying that this is the need. I'm putting across a suggestion that we need schools of political governance where school children who are interested in humanities join such schools. They do political governance, they do subjects of humanities by distance learning, but learn political ideologies, political histories. They learn Marxism, Leninism, Congress ideology, BJP, RSS. Let them learn everything. Learn and choose, and work as interns in political parties as they grow up. For the first time, they could become interns. Political parties will get interns. Friends, this is the first time political parties will get internships where they start at the bottom. That means as they grow up, but they learn value system, they learn civilized behavior, they learn how to campaign, and they learn all these tricks of the trade, but they don't foul the political atmosphere. So, what's my prayer? My prayer to Guruji is, Guruji, please start the first school of political governance. Hey! Where you don't spread this around. Please spread this around. Then please come up with zones. Don't have it in one north zone, one south zone, one west zone, one east zone. All 4 zones, they merge. And then they become interns. So when you say world business and ethics, you say politicization or politics with ethics. I think we need to link politics with ethics, which we don't. We let it happen. I think that's the solution, my friends. I thought, so 2 things. A, social support systems if you want more women in corporate world, and we need political governance schools if we need more better women and better men too. We need men and women who don't come by default, but come by training and education. Thank you.
I think that applause says it all. And last but not the least, it is my great honor to invite Ms. Bhanumati Narasimhan. We've been talking so much about education. As her role of the Director of Women Empowerment and Child Welfare Programs of the Art of Living, she Ever since the inception of the Art of Living, along with her brother, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar, she has played a key role in various social development, community development programs of the organization. Over 40,000 underprivileged children all over the world have benefited through programs that have been initiated by her, like Care for Children. In fact, in India itself, we run close to 500 schools in the remotest of rural and tribal areas where we can't even imagine people can reach. In addition, she also has initiated a lot of women empowerment programs like Vista, which work to economically empower close to 8,000 women, and also another program called HARA, H-A-R-A, which works with HIV and AIDS awareness. She has also enabled millions of people around the world to tap into their spirituality, learn how to meditate, me included, yeah, and request Banu Amma to please.
Jai Gurudev. So you have already clapped, that means so nice to be here. In fact, whatever I wanted to speak, they have all spoken. That is advantage in being the last speaker. As she rightly said, Kiranji, that education is the main thing, right education, you know. Education can really empower women to take the right decisions at the right time. You know, we may have very good ideas about things, but we cannot implement it in the right time, then it is a waste, isn't it? So how to get that right time, only spirituality can answer. When you have a wonderful master, when you have Guru, you get that right time. When you meditate, when you know how to keep your mind calm. And when the mind is calm, then the intuitive ability improves in us, which can really make us a effective leader, I feel, you know, because one can unite people where when you are calm, then you can emanate that, you know, that calmness around you and then bring people together, because this is a very important aspect of a leader, you know, to unite people. That I feel that as a woman, we have that in our innate quality of us. As a mother, we have 3-4 children who have diverse, you know, they are totally different in nature, but still they're all glued together in a family. Like that, we have so many good qualities in us. Spirituality can make us have that, you know, focus on the goodness. What you already have, then you get the confidence. And women, as a leader, you know, that confidence is very important, isn't it? You know, when you are so confident and not arrogant. Whenever we are having confidence, sometimes we can tend to be arrogant, which can create this lack of communication around us. That's very important for a leader to be effective communication, have effective communication. So these things are all possible when you can focus on yourself, what you have, and this is not a luxury for some people. In fact, everyone needs to attend to one's own inner self. So that is how spirituality, if you see here, we were talking a few minutes back, that how Gurudev has brought all of us together, different mindsets. We have so many different ideas and ideologies, but still we are all here together with a passion, you know. What is the positive transformation? So even for me, 35 years back, I had this passion, you know, to bring this education to all these children who couldn't otherwise have, you know, the chance to be educated. And now, because of that passion, and so many people can come together, you know, because there's so many people who want to. In fact, it's not necessary that we should be in some high position to make a difference as a mother, even individually, you know. Every drop of water counts for a pond. Like that individual contribution is also an effective leadership. I feel, as a woman, we have this strength in us. And recognizing this strength, as Meenakshi rightly said, it is the feminine energy, that softness in us, which we need to recognize, And also the Shakti, the primordial Shakti, the Adya Shakti we call it, which is in us, and spirituality can bring about this quality in us in the forefront. So it's so nice to be with all of you here on the dais, and also here I know many, many leaders and people who really make a difference in the world are here. And we would like to discuss more, whatever you want to ask us questions about this. In fact, this is the first time we have so many men in the... And we are not averse to it. Every time we used to have women's conference, they will ask me, what about men? We want to also come. This has happened here naturally. So we are so grateful to all of you here, and making us also, recognizing that leadership quality in us. This is also one of the important role of a woman, to recognize that, be humble also at the same time, assertive, Usually that aggression is associated with leadership, which is not really effective. Sometimes it is effective. There are exceptions. But then assertiveness, what else I had to tell? I belong to you all.
Yes, I like to say something for education for women or for men also in governments. For example, in Switzerland, we have something like this education when we are elected. But this we can take when we are elected, not before. So it's not necessary, or it's not the solution for take more women in politics. It's not the solution. And then these educations are very expensive at the university, and who pays that? It's a big question for women. And when we have time to do that, when we are elected, we have a profession, we have family, children, and everything. So how we can do that? That's our question in Switzerland. The education we have, but how we are organize us.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So the idea was to throw open the floor for a few questions, but I think we're completely out of time. Is it 2 o'clock already? Yeah? So maybe we can take one question. You can direct it to... Okay, that hand went up very quickly. So,
yeah. My question is to all the successful women and the leaders over here. I want to ask, what is your success mantra in reaching this position and passing all the hurdles?
So maybe we can use this as an opportunity for the last comments from all our speakers. Maybe they could share with us 2 things. We know what the problems are. We know that women have all the capabilities, the academic achievements. We know organizations that have women at the helm of affairs do far better. So maybe our speakers can leave us with their thoughts on the 2 things that we need to do to have better women representation at higher levels of leadership. Yeah? Maybe we can start from this end.
Thank you. I think 2 things make you succeed and make you grow as a leader. One is, of course, maintaining good health. Physical health is very vital because that's what energy comes from. If you don't have the energy, you're dependent on others. So be very careful on maintaining and building physical energy. which means maintaining good health, which automatically takes you to the mind health. So I think then, as a woman, as early leadership, bring in mental strength. Because once you bring mental strength and mental tenacity, nothing can beat you. Because once you have the mental determination with a purpose, what is it that you're growing up for? So mental strength with a very identified purpose, maintaining good health, brings you the art of living.
Oh, pardon. La confiance en soi, d'abord, parce que les femmes se fixent toujours des plafonds, se fixent elles-mêmes des limites, s'autocensurent. Il n'y a que le ciel comme seule limite pour les femmes.
So self-confidence. Women are always putting limits and should we just
Les femmes.
and keeping a limit on their capacities, and we just have to know that the sky is the limit for us.
La deuxième chose, ce sont les femmes qui éduquent les petits garçons. Il faut qu'elles soient dans l'éducation des garçons comme des filles, que l'égalité soit reine.
The women who educate also the little boys. That is important, and may this equality between men and women be on the top priority.
My way, I think every time for equality, it's important that men and women can choose their own way to do what they like to do. It's not a question from the sex. And then I take my experience to work, and I hope to rest authentic in this way.
I would say that let's move away from empowerment politics, and it should be more about justice and fairness, and have the blinkers on. And when people say remove the blinkers, I say have the blinkers on, so that you stay focused in what you wish to achieve and stay tuned to where the goals are. And that's the way, and I'm in agreement to all what has been spoken. So I think we need to just shy away from empowerment and move on to justice, fairness. And women only have choti si asha, that is suraksha and samanata. That is, give them security and give them respect. You don't have to do anything for them. They will do whatever they have to.
Yeah, focus is very important, and the passion is important, to achieve. And also flexibility is important for us. Just wherever it is easy for us, flexibility not in your ideologies, but just we have to see whether, this I have learned from Gurudev, that he has zero ego. He's the best leader I have seen ever, and no ego. This is a lesson we all have to learn. In fact, this is a beautiful leadership quality. The passion. When you have the passion, I wanted to say 35 years back, 30 children were there in our school. Now 51,000 children. So I feel it's, raising 2 children, sitting in the house, even then you can achieve things, with so many supporters, volunteer supporters, friends. So as a leader, one can nurture this friendliness in us, and all these things can happen through spiritual practices. And we are in the right place. And I think it's time for...
I have a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
Women and men, both are equal. And yeah, both are equal. They both are respected. Women empowerment, really it is needed. But whenever I have a question, then when women are taking disadvantage of the domestic violence law, and how many men are getting suffered with that? For a single woman who should not be suffered, 90 women are taking advantage. And I have experience in my family, something happened to my son. Thank you.
I think we can use that as food for thought during lunch. Yeah, and maybe a lot of advice can happen there. Yeah. If you can just wait for a few seconds where we can felicitate all our wonderful speakers. Can we give them a big round of applause, please? We'd like to close this session in the words of the best leader, I'm sure that we all agree. His Holiness Sri Ravi Shankar ji says to women, do not wait to be given power. Assume it, own it, assert your rights. You are a born leader and you have the potential to bring prosperity, happiness, and joy to this world. Just make it happen.